Hello, hello, my hey. I got something to say, ladies around the world and men that support us. Are you in for a treat today? Talk about joy in the house. You got two joy. Can you believe it? These are two joy experts on the same podcast. What an abundant mindset. Welcome, Dr. Seema. How are you today?
I am so excited to be here. It's like my brain when I see people talk about joy, I just immediately light up. So
Isn't it great?
I'm so excited.
Well, a colleague of ours, we both went through the same speaking program, Heroic Public Speaking. And Vera, shout out to Vera, said, you have to reach out to Seema. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is too cool. And honestly, for all the years I was thinking about this, I've been podcasting for like 15 years. I think I may have had one or two joy people on. Not because
So
I wouldn't,
interesting.
but they just didn't come my way. How do you like
Yeah.
that? And here's the exciting thing.
Mm.
There's a joy coach that I didn't know for a million years until 2 years ago that lives 4 minutes from me.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
And
Okay.
they call her the joy coach. So,
Oh, interesting.
and we get along like peas in the pod. It's great,
Oh, interesting.
isn't it? I'll
Okay.
introduce you. All right, but let me
Yeah,
tell you about Dr. Seema Desai. Did I say it right?
you got it.
Woohoo! She is a keynote speaker, certified coach, and author whose work sits at the intersection of high performance and deep fulfillment. She's the creator of the Joy First Method. What? A framework that helps leaders, founders, and entrepreneurs stop deferring joy as the destination and start using it as the strategy that drives sustainable success. Through her speaking, coaching, and her book, Connected, Seema has become a trusted voice for high achievers who are done choosing between ambition and aliveness. All right, so I'm just going to have to tell you this because it popped into my head. One of my peeps were like, when I was sending out questions, they were like, why would you bring somebody on that's doing exactly what you do in the same area? Keynote speaking, blah, blah, blah. My title's Joy is Your Competitive Edge. And I said, well, we'll call her Bippity Bop. Well, Bippity Bop, wouldn't that be weird if I'm all about the abundant mindset? If I wouldn't bring somebody on in the same exact thing I do? Because if I really have an abundant mindset, then I believe there's enough for all. And I should be ecstatic that there are people spreading joy and not me. And she said, well said. I just wanted to hear you say it.
No, you got to kick the tires sometimes. I don't know. I think that's a great question, or not even necessarily that it's a great question, but it is an important something to slow down and talk about and voice because I feel like so much of our world does not have an abundance mindset. And when we think of abundance, we think of wealth directly, and anything referring to or alluding to a lack of it feels unsafe, right? So we kind of have to in my mind, I get this vision of this curmudgeony little meh, and they're like sticky fingers with all this wad of cash or something. I don't know. It just joy is all about expansion. It's an expansive energy. It's an expansive concept. It's all about connectivity. And quite frankly, for something that is so abundant in supply, it is so deeply underutilized is probably the best way to put it, I think. And so
Great.
we need people to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you found this, but Joy, they always would think of me, as the fluff girl. And I would always say, no, it's not fluff. This
Mhm.
is fuel, right? Same thing, high performers. But it wasn't really talked about with the men. But yes, men, I get it. But now I feel like everyone is talking about it, whether they're utilizing it. I do feel like it's more acceptable to say, I want joy at the workplace. What do you think?
Yeah.
Not
Um,
that they have it, but they think it's good to have it.
right, right. I mean, I would give serious pause to someone who would say, I don't want that, you know. So
That's true. At the work site,
At the,
grind,
yeah, like,
fucking grind.
why? Yeah, no.
Yeah. I even, which was, even I paused because someone had booked me for tech founders, and my title is Joy is Your Competitive Edge, and they picked that, and I thought that was exciting
Yeah,
because it shows you that they realize, okay, we need to deal with our anxiety and stress like everyone else does.
yeah,
So that's a
yeah,
good thing. All right,
yeah.
let's get into it. Your power statement. I love it. Joy isn't the reward for success, it's the measure of it. Tell us why you picked that one because there's so many good ones.
There are so many good ones. There's so many reasons why I picked it. Mainly because it really hit home for me somatically when I came into this, it was so reflective of my own story, my own journey. People often ask, how did you go from being a dentist to all of these other things? It really is one of the questions I get asked the most. And I used to launch into an attempted broad overview of how that happened. But at the crux of it was I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but I was just leaning into what made me feel more expansive, more alive, more at peace, more in my joy. And so it really is, when looking back, something that I can say it is all about
Mm.
choosing to access that joy inside of us and really choosing to live and lead from that place.
Okay, so you led into your backstory, which I was, of course, we're curious. How did you come,
Yeah.
from a dentist to there? But while you were a dentist,
Right.
was that joyful for you?
There were moments that were joyful, but broadly, no.
Mhm.
I think first of all, I picked dentistry. The running joke for the South Asian community is you have three career options: doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so I picked the one that made me throw up the least. Just,
Well,
I,
there you have it.
I mean, which is crazy to say out loud, but I really didn't
Thank you
see
for your
myself.
honesty. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really just, what is the one that makes me feel like I don't have to just completely feel like a fish out of water? Did not have an engineering mindset. My husband, his undergraduate degree is in engineering, and our brains do not work the same way. And law just, meh. There were all sorts of reasons why I didn't feel like that really hit home. And I also grew up, my parents are blue collar, but everyone around us in the Indian community and small town I grew up in, they were all physicians. And so it was very easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to go with something that's familiar, go with something that I is tangible and is noble and respected and pays well and doesn't have, honestly, being a dentist was a little bit of a rebellion. That was my way of kind of saying like, well, I won't really listen to everything you have to say. I'm going to do it my own way. Which is, it just shows you how wrapped up in people pleasing I was.
So many of us are.
So many of us are. But it's so sneaky, right? Which is why
Yes, it's really sneaky.
it's so sneaky. And it's disguised as logic, as practicality, as, oh, this is what it looks like to be a good daughter or a productive member of society is
Mhm.
XYZ. And so we follow this path, and but the thing is, the flaw in that formula is that I think it's just inaccurate and it's backwards. We're told that we work hard and that stress that comes with working hard is totally fine because that's what creates success. And real success is the success that you earn only if you've done it bleeding, sweating, crying. And now you've earned it and it's yours. And if you do that, then you'll be happy. And
So true.
which, yeah, you will be happy because you know what? Happiness is fleeting, it's finicky, it's entirely dependent on our external circumstances. I mean, you land the job and it feels great in the moment. And then that same job that you spent years training for now is just really, really stressful and sucks the life out of you, which is going back to your question. There were many days where I just struggled with my own exhaustion and with my ego showed up to see patients rather than the kind of doctor that is compassionate
Oh,
and
wait, did you cause pain?
no, not consciously, but when you walk in with this title of like I'm a doctor and I know, and this is, to be fair, this is how we have modeled healthcare up until recently, which is the doctor is the expert and you as the patient are to comply. End of story.
Yes, yes.
Now we're in this idea of your healthcare is collaborative. The patient is actually in the driver's seat. The doctor is there to guide, support, and really put guardrails down when there is grotesquely unsafe behavior. But otherwise, ultimately, it's the patient's health journey. It's not the doctor's. But that paradigm was very foreign.
Uh-huh.
So it's not one that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how many years did you stay in that wonderful profession?
So I stayed total for about 12 years. It was on and off, and I would went from being full time and I shifted from, general practice to doing like Medicaid, which was a lot of children.
Hmm.
And then I did geriatrics for the longest period of time, which meant that I was working not in a normal office, a typical office, but I would have this dental chair that was foldable and I would throw it in the back of my SUV and it was mobile. We would go around and drive. I'm based in Austin, and we would drive to these different nursing homes, and we would deliver care. And each of these aspects of providing dentistry, to your question about joy, there were some really great moments of growth. There were really, really great sparks of joy.
Hmm.
But what, and I'm so grateful because I learned from each one and I got to serve. I did see the service element of it, especially with the Medicaid and with the mobile dentistry component.
Absolutely.
We need people there supporting everyone, not just people who
Mm.
have privilege or access, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, However, it just wasn't. It's not where my soul shone the most.
Okay. And so then one day you woke up
Mhm.
and something somewhere sparked you because this is totally a different direction. So tell us everything.
I think when anyone makes a change like that, it's usually there's an inflection point, but it's after years of being piled on and piled on. And for me, I had postpartum depression with my first kid that I was also navigating. And I had
Ooh,
a second kid.
ooh,
Um, Coming from generational trauma, immigrant mindset. I was born in the States, but my parents, had immigrated here before I was born. And there was just so much unhealed trauma that I was then having to come to face with as I was parenting these kids and figuring out what it meant to do all of the things, especially when externally it looks great. It's Instagram perfect. You have the title, you have the job, you have the kids, the house, the cars, the husband, you're taking the vacations, you're carrying the fancy bag. And so then, but there was this weight, there was this emptiness, and
mm,
concurrently, an exhaustion, a very quiet exhaustion, almost like a suffocation, because it wasn't my success. That's not the definition of success that I gave myself. It was what was told to me was this is what success looks like. Um, so
mm.
carrying that around and how it manifested was yes, exhaustion, losing myself, this lack of fulfillment, a lot of guilt for quote unquote having it all and then feeling like it wasn't enough. But where I started to really draw the line was, gosh, Sandy, I was an angry mom, really angry.
Oh,
And I would feel. like I wanted to do better, but I didn't know how. I didn't have that model. And it wasn't until I decided to get help for myself, I actually hired a coach. Um,
Good for
and
you.
yeah, I mean, it was just it was insufferable. And um, I finally hired a coach and started doing the work. And then I had a series of other things happen professionally. And I was like, you know what? Through the support of the coaching, I'm going to just put this down. I have to just release this. And what that meant was putting my ego down, putting my identity down. When you are spent, you know, your years being told your self-worth is wrapped up in this single title. And now to put it down with no plan, I had not a clue. Thankfully, that was when the pandemic was kind of starting to unfold. And I thought, okay, I used to get a break from these kids because they would go to school, but now I have these two young kids. We're together all the time. I really don't want I want to be the mom I know I can be, not the one that I have been. And so I continued getting coached and literally just leaning into, all right, what would it look like for me to have a relationship with my child that is joyful? What is the dream relationship that I would have wanted with my mom? How can I make at least some of it true, even once? Because if it can happen once, it can happen again. And through that, it's funny how the universe just sort of hands you the how as long as you focus on the who. Who am I being in this moment? So I was approached to write a children's book. A publisher in the UK offered to publish a book if I had written it. And so I wrote about how to navigate emotion, all the things that I was using with my own children to help us stay more connected with each other and build through the pandemic. It went into a book. And then coaching school fell into my lap. That's a career I never would have considered for myself. And because it was pandemic time, everything was virtual and
Yeah.
it made it accessible for a young mother to go and take all this time away from her kids because I wasn't actually leaving home.
Mhm.
And then, I started a podcast and we did that for 2 years and it was just so much fun. But literally following the breadcrumbs of joy. And from that podcast, one of our guests was like, he actually sent me a podcast that Michael Port was on. And
Ah,
so you can, draw the
yeah.
conclusion as to what happened. I was like, oh my gosh. And almost like a wormhole later, here we are. And I'm really crystallized this message about joy, living and leading with joy as the measure of success, not a reward.
So tell them who Michael Port is, because for those people who don't know who Michael Port is.
Michael and Amy Port are the OGs of heroic public speaking. So heroic public speaking is founded on this idea that we can change the world one speech at a time. Michael and Amy founded this company and have from day one attracted elite caliber people to be in. I mean, it's such interesting people in the room. And
Right.
it's so interesting. And I almost had this imposter phenomenon happening. So I'm like, I'm just a dentist from small town Texas. Like, how am I next to the CEO of crazy large
Yes.
global company? Um, and anyway, it was just a great experience because it helped me crystallize more of what I'm good at, what I love, what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's, how we create more community. And that's why we're here today together.
Exactly. That's how we got together. So we're going to run out of time. And I knew this was going to happen, but we better get in some of these questions because people freaking loved them. They went nuts over a couple of your tips and
Okay.
they wanted more. So the biggest one, and it's your first one that got so much response, was get curious about your stress patterns. So I want you to go over that because
Okay.
I know that if my left neck right in here starts tightening up, I know right away.
Mm.
Mayday, mayday. And
Yeah.
I get up and I do my movement words like, let's do a check-in. But it took me years to tune into my body and go, wait a second. This is just not a spur on my neck. Come on, people.
Yeah.
So tell us. I
Yeah,
love
I mean,
this.
I think somatic awareness is another level, and it comes easier for some people rather than others, that body experience, because honestly, we are conditioned to cut that part of us off, which is what cuts us off from our joy. And so I think when I say stress patterns, initially the low-hanging fruit for people is understand for yourself what kinds of thoughts do you tend to have? Do you tend to be more of a perfectionist or more of a hyper rational person who really
Mm.
needs all of this data and has difficulty leaning into the other very valid side of things that's often dismissed, emotion? Equally important, vital information, but for hyper rationals, that piece doesn't come easy. And so those are just two examples of what it means. And the perfectionist piece, I'll give you a quick example. I live with a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I'm really type A. I like things clean. And so especially when they're home in the summer and I see like throw pillows not on the couch and little things like that, I know that that's just those are things that are my issues. And so it helps me slow down and rethink how I approach that with them so that I'm not angry. I'm not, I might get frustrated here and there, but generally speaking, it's just not as much of an issue as it was.
So, do you have any system? They wanted to ask because they know what I do, but they want to know, do you have any system when you feel, one of the ladies asked, so Seema, when your jaw, not that yours does, but if your jaw tightens up or you start breathing shallow, what would you do once you notice that?
I call it crossing the bridge. Um, so this is just a very simple visual of like an arc, a very simple line. And on one side is, in my book, I call them the inner guards. So this is basically your stress, your anxiety, blame, shame, anger, whatever you want to call it, the ick on one side. And when you create that awareness for your stress patterns, now you can stop and say, okay, I know that there are other options that are going to not, they're going to feel better and create better outcomes. I need to walk myself there.
Oh,
Right. So what does that mean to walk yourself there? That could look like anything. It could look like literally taking a walk, removing yourself from a situation, tuning into your breath. You said your neck. For me, my left hand tightens up, and so it's just an active, like I need to physically relax my left hand, and then I might do something else to stack on
yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Breath is my favorite, but I like to rely on the three C's of joy, which is creativity, community, and connection. So I want to honor the time that we have here, but those are kind of broadly what I lean into is like, what is it that I can do to connect with my joy? And from there, let the what I do not be my concern.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out how I want to show up, and then the rest resolves. Surprise, surprise, in more effortless ways that are often more favorable.
So I don't know if I told you this, but since I was a kid, I didn't call it that, but a lot of my stuff I do is based on movement, words, and laughter. And
Mm,
I, since I was 9 years old, see, remember moving around for a minute to music, whatever. And then I
mm,
would focus in on one word.
yeah.
Even as a kid, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to show up today? And I'd write it down. And then I would belly laugh out loud about something or find something to laugh about. And then throughout the day, now I didn't call it movement, words, or laughter. This is what I did. And then I'd say, oh, am I coming from joy? Well, what could I do to get back there? And I would go through this. Well, years later, not me, one of the heroic public speakers said, that's movement, words, and laughter.
Isn't it great how
I
people
mean, like I'm in
come
my
across and
60s
they
and
help
I
you?
just was like, it's what I do. It's what I do in my car. Never had a name, never. And then all of a sudden, here it is at TEDx, movement, words, and laughter. I'm like, and my brother's like, That's what you're calling that goofy thing you do?
Okay, so I call people, and not saying that this is your brother, but I call these people logic lovers.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. Like people who just love to like they need to make sense of it. And what
yeah.
people miss is like, well, if I lean into my joy, like what does that even look like? And all the reasons you should not start to come to play, and then you're just push. It's like chasing a butterfly. You're never gonna get there.
I think you and I should start joy parties.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that's what the world would really open
I'm
up with.
telling you, because as much, and I get it, there's way more awareness, but still in all, like you said before about things creeping in and people pleasing, it's the same thing about, knowing that you should have more joy in your life, but
Yeah,
before you know it, you can't find a way to get there. There's too much
right.
anxiety, too much stress, and too
Mhm.
much, and you need like a joy party to give you
Yeah,
permission.
yeah. Well, and I think, I was watching Trevor Noah did a comedy special and it's called Joy in the Trenches.
Shut up.
I
Oh,
just watched it. I was
I love
traveling back
Dan.
from summer vacation and I saw it and I was like, yeah, gotta watch it. And you know, I talk about this in my speech, the same concept of, he's talking about World War I soldiers in trench warfare
Oh,
and what kept them going. And, this idea of seeing us as humans and finding joy and finding meaning and all of those things. It was really beautiful, but that's I think what people often miss is joy does not mean you're denying the circumstances. Joy exists with the stress in our lives. It gives us better perspective. It is what helps us move forward with faith over fear.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
what allows us to feel whole and worthy of living a life that actually matters.
God, that was so well said. That was awesome. I'm going to replay that a number of times. I got it. All right. I want to touch on these, but some of them we've had and dealt with on the show, and a few of them we haven't. So I want to make sure with the time left we get into them, but I'm going to mention the other ones. So learn to belly breathe is a huge one, but we had breath, and I still need reminders of that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not belly breathing. And then make belly breathing a daily practice before you need it. See, that's what I got to add in.
Mm. Yeah, it's like going to the gym. You would never wake up and say, I'm gonna bench, I don't know, whatever people bench, 200 pounds, 400 pounds. I don't know. Um,
It's all different. It's
it's
all
all different and anyway, but you would never expect that. You would need to build up to it. And
yeah.
so, build up to it. It's just a neural pathway that you're wiring.
Look at you're making me breathe through. Okay. Number four, we got to dive into it. Connect to what makes you come alive every single day. Every single day. So just dive into that a little bit.
I mean, when I start to feel like my priorities are competing, I ask myself at the end of the day, what is going to make me feel the most expansive and fulfilled? And I just do it. Even if it's, not getting something done on my to-do list because I took a walk with my kid.
Damn you.
Great. I mean, we're here one day and then we're not, and the world goes on without us. So why not live for you? And by that extension, when you live for you, you're there for other people in a way that doesn't suck you dry.
Absolutely. And I love that creativity, community, and connection.
Hmm.
And again, I can tell you, I do this for a living and I practice it, but I still need reminders every single day of these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Well, because you're
Sometimes,
human.
sometimes it's every hour, other days it's every 30 minutes.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. But I think
That's
that's,
not it, right? I mean, when somebody was like, you know, we can't be around, you're always joyful. I go, whoa, 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 whoa. I might not express all the other stuff. on social media because I'm supposed to be giving you joy jolt tips. But on any given day, I express everything, anger, frustration,
Hmm.
whatever. I get it out of my system
Hmm.
so I can move forward. I mean, I have a little setup on my front porch, Seema, for the cats and the birds and the squirrels, and so far they don't eat each other, but they've heard it all.
Oh
But
yeah.
I go out and vent to them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's it does not um exist in isolation. I mean, even it exists even in grief. I read something the other day, and I'm concerned I might butcher it, but I want to share it anyway.
Please do.
Um, in even in grief, what that is love that isn't received in the same way it used to be received, right? You have love for this person that you lost or this being that you lost, and
Mhm.
while normally you would hug it or kiss it or call it or them, call them, it's you can't do that anymore, but that's still you have the joy of the love that you hold for that person, even though it hurts.
I'm going to need more information on that because I have a few friends really deep in grief right now. And
Yeah.
I don't think I was expressing it well about the joy thing. So I want to hear more about that. But
Yeah.
I want to get into this one because, again, got a lot of hits. When you're overwhelmed, ask yourself one question. How, this is brilliant. How would a person at peace handle this?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's worked for me. I'm certainly not the expert on anyone else, but I can tell you it's where I
I love it.
found soft, welcoming ground for myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you say, how would a person in peace handle it? You can't be in peace and overwhelmed at the same time.
Right. Right.
It's
Well, I
impossible.
mean, the thing is when things are not as they are, and going back to your abundance mindset type, thing, it's if you are working from this feeling of not having, what you're going to create is more of the same. It's like cooking, right? If you want a five-star meal, you can't start with crap ingredients. They have to be fresh.
Yeah.
And you can have the sharpest knives and the most experience and training as a chef, but if you have bad ingredients, you're not going to be able to create a great dish. And the same goes for how we make decisions. If we are coming at it from this place of like, these pillows are on the floor and they shouldn't be. Well, that's just my own fear of, am I not teaching these kids the right way to be responsible for their stuff? Or, maybe my ego is saying like, oh, they don't care about me. I'm not, well, if I were at peace, fundamentally now I'm in abundance because I am not in want or need of anything. I have the fulfillment and joy of being I am. I just am. And so that gives us perspective to be able to say, all right, what if I didn't actually need something? What if I didn't feel slighted or whatever? What perspective would this give me?
I think that's important to remember because you're right. A lot of people that are in business for themselves, it can be ebbs and flows. You know that. Workshops, coaching, keynotes. I mean, you could be slammed and then nothing.
Hmm.
And if you come from lack, you're right. You're going to get more of it. So how do you get yourself in that abundant, joyful mindset, even when you're not slammed with all these opportunities? It's
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, going back to faith over fear, like knowing that something is coming. It just
Ooh, I like that.
you don't get mad at night because the sun isn't out. It's just not time for it yet. It will. It'll come out.
Okay, another brilliant saying. Hold on, let me write that down. I have never, I'm sure it's been said, but I haven't heard that one. I love when something so complicated you break down to be like, okay, I can see that. You're right.
Yeah.
Mm. All right.
And this is why we have two joy people on the podcast, right? Because we can talk about things and just express them in our own unique ways, and it helps both of us get better perspectives on our own work. It's important that we connect.
I know it's funny because I know my strengths, and I used to when I was years ago, I'd be like, ah, they want me to be on that show. They want me. I'm not that eloquent of a speaker. I don't put words together like that, but I made up for it in different energy and emotional things. And so
Yeah.
I embrace that about myself.
Yeah.
But I love having people on who are completely different from me. I'm like, oh, they're going to reach somebody else. I didn't say it like that. I would have never said that. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you for,
It's
gosh, creating
awesome.
the space.
Okay, so now tomorrow morning you get to whisper in every woman's ear around the world. What's
Mm.
one thing you want to tell them that you absolutely want them to know before they wake up and start their day?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Um, let's see.
And men that support us.
And of course, yes, all human beings, all beings, all
Yeah.
beings. Um, what is it that I would want them to know? I think there's just so many that are coming to mind.
Mm.
Um,
I love that you're thinking about it though.
I am because it's a thinker. Um, it's a thinker. I feel like, oh gosh, how do I say it? I feel like you, it sounds cliche, but you deserve and absolutely are in process of creating exactly what you believe you're worthy of.
I like that. See? I knew you'd come out with it. Say that
Hmm.
one more time.
You are deserving and are in process of creating exactly what you believe you're worthy of.
That's a good one. Seema, thank you so much for being on the show. By the way, you guys don't know we had a beat of changing things because of electricity and internet, but finally we got together and it was worth the wait. But
Mhm.
before we go, we want to know everything about what's coming up. I know you have, they want to know where you're going to get your podcast coming up, your books, your coaching, your speaking. We want to know everything. So start with the most exciting thing coming up. You got a new podcast coming up in
I
July.
do. I am currently in almost their launch process of my own podcast. The first one I did was with a co-host, and we put that to rest last summer. So mine is coming. Hopefully, the goal is within the next few weeks. The Joy First Method podcast. So
Yay!
I'm really excited about bringing joy to people in this way, and having conversations about all of the things as they relate to joy and living life well without compromising ambition.
Joy first. I love it.
Yeah, Joy
Okay.
First Method is the name of the podcast, and um, you can find me. Of course, I am a certified coach. I do keynote speaking. All of that is on my website, and which I'm sure will be on your show notes. But drseemadesai.com.
Yes.
You can find my book, Connected, Discovering Your Inner Guides, on Amazon. I believe other things too, but you can get through it to my website. And then the other offering I would say is if you are looking for what I call stress tax exemptions, I have a just a little offering for people who want to get a glimpse inside my world. And it's 5 ways for you to stop paying the price for your own success.
I like that. I love it. Lots
Yeah,
going on, woman.
all
Lots.
on the website. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. I respond to my DMs personally. Even my newsletter that goes out twice a week, the Joy First Method newsletter. It if somebody hits reply and says something to me, I will always read and respond. So I'm here to support you guys and cheer you guys on as you look to choose your own joy first.
All right, my hey, I got something to say. Women and men around the world, we so appreciate you tuning in. You know, I'm biased. I think you are the most incredible, awesome, amazing human beings. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so freaking proud of you. And I really appreciate your support. And Seema and I would really love for you to rate this and share it and like it and subscribe. It would mean the world to us. And you know other people are going to benefit from it. You
Yeah.
know people are going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Till next time. Thanks, Seema, and toodles.
Bye.